Okay, so first of all, I have two tables here which I want to combine together. However, there are some columns in the first table which aren't in the second table, and there are also some compounds in the second table which aren't in the first table. So I'm going to have to figure out a way of lining up these columns correctly. The first thing I'm going to do is select the whole of the first table and then click and drag it to the side. I can then use a formula to fill in this gap here. The formula I'm going to use is equals index. Then the array is going to be the whole of the second table, and I'm going to press F4 to insert the dollar signs around this array so it won't move when I click and drag the formula. Then the row number I'm going to leave as 1 for the time being, and then the column number is going to be the match formula. The lookup value for the match formula is going to be this value here, and this time I'm going to insert the dollar signs just in front of the row number so that when I drag the formula down it will continue to look in the top row. The lookup array is going to be the headings from the second table, and I'm also going to use F4 to put dollar signs around this array. Then the match type is going to be an exact match, and then close brackets and close brackets again and enter. Then when I click and drag this formula along, you can see we have recreated the headings from the first table, except in a couple of places where we get an error value. In order to explain this, I'm going to use the match formula by itself. The match formula works by looking for a value in a list of values and then telling you what position it is in. So you can see that the date gets a value of 1 because it's in the first position in this list, whereas C2F6 gets a value of 2 because it is the second value in this list. CSC12 gets a value of 7 because it's in the 7th column in this list. The match formula then feeds into the index formula and becomes the column number. And in this way we can line up the values in the second table with the values in the first table. However, there are places where this doesn't work, and that is because we are telling the match formula to find a value which isn't actually in this list. So we get an error message. In my case, this is the two compounds that are in the first table but not in the second table. However, at the moment there is a problem with this formula. If I click and drag it down, it will continue to give me the word date, and that is because I have the row number as 1, where in actuality I want the row number to increase as I drag it down. If I type equals row in here and then open and close brackets, the row formula on its own will just give you the number of the row you are currently in. So in this case, row 15. And if I drag it down, the number increases because the row number is changing. However, the index formula doesn't work like this. It counts its row numbers from the beginning of the selection. So this would be row 1, this row 2, row 3, etc. Fortunately, there is an easy way to go from 15 to 1, and that is by subtracting 14. So now if I click and drag this down, I get numbers going from 1 to 13. So I can put this into my index formula in the row number. Row, open and close brackets, minus 14, and enter. Now if I click and drag this, I can fill in the rest of the table. This just needs to have the number formatting changed to the date format. Now, to check this is working, I'm going to check a couple of numbers. So in the C2F6 column, the first number is 4.04, and in the C2F6 column over here, the first number is also 4.04. Then in the HFC32 column, the last number is 14.4. And in the HFC32 column here, the last number is also 14.4. So we know the formula is working correctly. However, I don't particularly like the way these error values look, so I'm going to hide those using an if non-applicable formula and putting it around the index match formula. This will allow me to substitute the non-applicable errors for something else. And in this case, I'm going to put quotation mark, and because there is nothing in between the quotation marks, it's going to show me nothing instead of the non-applicable error. So now if I click and drag the formula, you can see that the error messages disappear. I need to put the formatting in here again. If I click in one of these blank cells, you can see the formula is still there because we can see it in the formula bar. However, we can't see it in the table, so it looks a lot neater. Now, the next thing that we need to consider is the fact that there are some compounds in this table which aren't in this table. For example, SF6 isn't in this table, so we need to find a way of fixing that. And I'm going to use the COUNTIF formula, and the range is going to be the headings from the first table, and then the criteria is going to be the headings from the second table, and close brackets and enter. And what this formula is doing is that it is looking for how many times this value here appears in this list here. So in the case of C2F6, it appears once in this list, so we get the number 1. However, C5F12 doesn't appear at all in this list, so we get the number 0. And in this way, we can see which compounds are missing from the first table. I am now going to put all of this into a filter formula. The array is going to be this list here, and then I am going to filter for values that are equal to 0 and close brackets and enter. And now you can see we have a list of the 3 compounds for which the COUNTIF formula equals 0, which are the 3 compounds that are in the second table but not in the first table. Now that I have done that, I can combine these formulas together over here by doing equals filter. Then the array is going to be the headings from the second table. Then I am going to filter these using the COUNTIF formula, and the range is going to be the headings from the first table. Then the criteria is going to be the headings from the second table again. Then close brackets and equals 0 and close brackets again and enter. And now you can see we have the 3 compounds that we had before. Now I can click and drag the index match formula, and it will fill in the rest of the table. And this is because the index match formula is just matching up with whatever is in this cell here. So in this way, we can take all of the compounds that are in the second table but not in the first table, and we can kind of tack them onto the end. Now I have my completed table. I can select all of this and copy it and then paste as values. And this transforms all of the formulas into plain text. You can see in the formula bar now they are just numbers. Now I have done that, I can delete everything on this side because I no longer need it as it has all been transferred across. And I can also delete the space here and the second copy of the headers. And now I have my combined table. So in this video, I have shown you how to combine two tables together in Excel. In a previous video, I showed how to combine tables side by side rather than on top of each other. And I have also made a video where I combined tables using Power Query. Okay, and that is everything.